Caught my fiancée with my father, now she's pregnant, but is it mine? I'm 27, and I'm just a normal guy who thought he had a good life until it all blew up in my face about a week ago when I found out my fiancée, who I'll call Lisa, was cheating on me with my own dad, who I'll call Ben, and now she's pregnant and I don't even know if the kid's mine. Lisa's 26, my dad's 52, and my mom, who I'll call Mary, is 50. I never imagined I'd be dealing with something this messed up, but here I am, spilling my guts because I need advice, and I figured this is the place to get it since I've heard crazy stories like this online before. I'm new to this whole online thing, never posted anywhere like this, but I've seen stuff on social media and thought, why not give it a shot? I'll try to keep it clear, but it's only been a week, so bear with me if I get a bit lost. Lisa and I go way back to college when we were both living in the same dorm building during her freshman year. We hit it off after meeting there, and it turned out we grew up just a couple towns apart, so when we'd head home for breaks, I'd drive her since it only added about 20 minutes to my trip. No big deal, right? We hung out a bunch at school, took a few road trips together, and before long, we were dating. I come from a tight family, and so did she, so we told our folks early on. I'd met her parents a few times when I dropped her off, nothing deep, just small talk and smiles. Both our families were cool with us being together, and things just kept growing from there. I was a year ahead of her in school, so after I graduated, I moved back home and landed a solid job with good money. I'd visit Lisa at college whenever I could, and when she came home, we always made time for each other. Once she finished school, she moved in with me since we both got jobs in the city near our hometowns. She scored a great gig, just like me, and after about 3 years of living together, I popped the question. We were deep into planning our wedding when everything went south. Looking back, I missed a ton of red flags, stuff I brushed off because I thought my dad was just being extra welcoming to Lisa, trying to make her feel like part of the family. Like, he'd call her all the time, and if I was around, they'd say it was about some family get-together or whatever. One time, Lisa was in the shower, and her phone rang. I saw it was my dad, so I picked up. He sounded shocked and kinda mad it was me, which threw me off. I asked what he wanted, and he said he needed to talk to Lisa about my mom's birthday coming up in a week. We chatted for a minute, then hung up. Thinking about it now, I feel like a complete idiot for not catching on sooner. The day it all hit the fan was just a regular Thursday. Lisa had the day off, so she made us breakfast before I headed to work. She kissed me goodbye, told me to have a good day, and I was out the door. On my way to the office, I realized I forgot some papers I needed for a 3 o'clock meeting. I figured I'd swing by the apartment at lunch to grab them, no biggie. Lisa was texting me all morning, normal stuff like what I wanted for dinner or if she should hang up my laundry. I didn't bother telling her I was coming home for lunch, just drove back when the time came. When I pulled into our parking lot, I noticed a car that looked a lot like my dad's, but I didn't think much of it and headed inside. I opened the front door, and it was like stepping into some cheesy movie scene. There were clothes, hers and a guy's, strewn across the floor, leading to our bedroom, and I could hear faint moans coming from down the hall. I froze, my head spinning with anger, hurt, and nausea, like I was stuck in place, just staring at the mess. I don't know how long I stood there, but when I finally snapped out of it, I pulled out my phone and started recording. I grabbed all the clothes off the floor and tossed them into the hallway outside our apartment, filming the whole time. I walked toward the bedroom, the door wide open, and stood there for about a minute, still recording, before flipping on the light. They both jumped, startled by the sudden brightness, and when they turned to look at me, my heart sank. It was my dad in bed with Lisa. I couldn't believe it. My dad saw I was filming and freaked out, scrambling to cover himself, yelling at me to stop. He grabbed a towel, wrapped it around himself, and started coming toward me. I warned him, if you don't want to get hurt, stay back. He didn't listen, kept reaching for my phone, so I swung and caught him right in the jaw. His head hit the doorframe, and he dropped like a sack of potatoes. Lisa screamed. I turned the camera on her and said, "Worried about your side guy, but got nothing to say to the man you're supposed to marry?" My dad came to after about a minute, groggy as hell, and I told them, I just came to grab something for work, so I'm heading back. If either of you are still here when I get home, I'm sending this video to everyone you know. I stopped recording, looked at my dad, and said, "You're nothing to me anymore. You're not my father. You better go talk to Mom, because I'm telling her everything soon." I went to my car and just sat there, trying to process it all, until my boss called asking where I was. I told her I was on my way back. When I got to the office and handed her the papers, she could tell something was wrong. I looked like hell, I guess, because she kept asking what was up. I brushed it off, said I'd be fine, but she noticed blood on my collar and got worried, thinking I was hurt. I told her it was my dad's blood. She looked confused, so I showed her the video. She watched the whole thing. She'd met Lisa a couple times but never my dad. When it sank in that my fiancé was cheating with my own father, she was speechless. She offered to let me take some time off, but I said I couldn't go home yet, just needed a minute to pull myself together. I had a spare shirt in my office, so I changed and went to my meeting, faking a smile like nothing was wrong. My boss checked on me after, amazed I could hold it together, but I just shrugged and said I didn't know how I did it either. When I got home that night, the place was empty, and for the first time in forever, I was truly alone. Writing this down feels like letting out a breath I've been holding, but I'm lost. I can't stay in this apartment anymore, it's tainted. No way I'm sleeping in that bed ever again. I know I need to get tested for diseases, and I think I might have busted something in my hand when I hit my dad. A few days after that nightmare, I tried calling my mom to tell her everything, but I couldn't get through. I wanted to meet her for lunch, lay it all out, but after a dozen failed calls, I drove to her house instead. She deserved to know, even if it meant ripping my heart open again. On the drive, I rehearsed what I'd say, but it got me so worked up I had to pull over twice to puke. Telling your mom her husband's sleeping with your fiancé isn't something you prep for. When I pulled into her driveway, I sat in my car to calm down, but before I could get out, she stormed out the front door, screaming at me, calling me every name under the sun, saying I was a monster for hitting my dad when he was just trying to stop a fight between me and Lisa. Turns out, my dad took Lisa to my parents' house and spun a lie that Lisa and I got into it, and when he tried to break it up, I decked him. My mom bought it, called me an abuser, and told me to leave because Lisa wasn't ready to forgive me and probably never would be. I stood there, taking it, until I couldn't anymore. I snapped and said, "You really believe that, Mom? Your husband's sleeping with my fiancé. That's why I hit him, and if you don't trust me, I've got proof. I'll send you the video, but since you can talk to me like this, don't expect me around anymore. I won't hear your apologies when you figure out what a lousy mom you've been, just like he's a lousy dad." Her face fell, like she'd seen a ghost, and I sent her the video right then. She pulled out her phone, started watching, and got to the part where I turned on the light before stopping. She looked at me, eyes wide, but I was done. I got in my car and drove off, glancing back to see her crying. Part of me felt bad, but after what she said, I wasn't ready to make nice. Back home, I started purging everything tied to Lisa or my family. I packed up all of Lisa's stuff and left it by the door. Legally, she lives here, so I can't just kick her out, but her name's not on the lease, and she hates confrontation, so I doubt she'll show up unless it's to grab her things. Everything from my parents, photos, gifts, whatever, went into storage. We were always close, but I'm good at cutting out people who hurt me. I texted Lisa's parents, told them the engagement's off because she cheated, thanked them for being kind to me, and asked if they'd pick up her stuff so she wouldn't have to come back. They haven't replied yet, but I'm hoping they handle it. That post I made got way more attention than I expected, and it hit me hard. I didn't plan to keep updating, just wanted to get it off my chest and maybe hear some advice. After I posted, I shut my laptop and sank into a dark place, feeling like the world was caving in. Some folks think I made it up, and man, I wish I had that kind of imagination. I'd be writing novels, not punching a clock. I've read most of the comments, good and bad, and I appreciate everyone who took the time to weigh in, even if I haven't had it in me to respond to every one. About a month passed, and I've been up and down, numb one minute, furious the next. I haven't had a single happy day since it happened, and outside a couple buddies, I'm pretty much on my own, especially with my family turning out to be garbage. I decided to take charge, starting with the practical stuff, getting tested, finding a shrink, moving out, and buying a new bed because no way was I sleeping in that one. I called my doctor to set up tests and asked for a therapist referral. I started seeing a counselor 2 weeks ago, and we're doing weekly sessions. I got tested, still waiting on results, so keep your fingers crossed. I hit up a buddy who's a real estate agent, and he sent me a bunch of places to check out. I settled on a fixer-upper cabin just outside the city and moved in a couple days ago. After I was done, I called Lisa's parents again, told them I'd left the old place and Lisa still hadn't grabbed her stuff. I said the landlord's about to start showing the apartment, so they better get her things before it's tossed. That got them moving. Next day, the landlord texted me, saying the place was cleared out. Nobody but my real estate friend knows where I live now, so I don't have to worry about Lisa or my folks showing up. Downside is my commute's gone from a 10-minute walk to a 45-minute drive, but it's worth it for the peace. My phone's been blowing up with calls and texts from Lisa, my parents, even some friends, but I'm not ready to talk to anyone except my therapist. At work, I keep my head down, do my job, and get out. If I have to chat, I fake a smile and act like everything's fine. My boss, the one I showed the video to, checks on me sometimes, but I just say I'm okay and leave it at that. Truth is, I'm not sure I'll ever be okay. People say time heals, but when you lose the 3 people you thought had your back all at once, it feels like a piece of you's gone for good. Therapy's helping, I guess. I'm new to it, so I don't know what's normal, but my counselor seems like she really cares. First session was just us getting to know each other, me telling her what went down. Next time, we dug deeper. She asked about my parents, and I told her we were always tight, talked a lot, sorted out problems together, grew up in a good home, or so I thought. Now it's all meaningless. She asked why I shut my mom out, and I said she threw words at me I wouldn't use on my worst enemy, and there's no coming back from that. I gave her the link to my post so she could read more about what's in my head. It's easier to write than say out loud. I'm still in a rough spot, thought I'd be further along by now, not happy, but at least okay. I know I'm partly to blame, dodging my friends, but even thinking about answering their texts feels like climbing a mountain. They'd want to hang out, see my new place, and I just don't have it in me. For now, I work, go to therapy, and sit on my deck with cheap whiskey, staring at the view. I haven't hunted since high school, but I might pick it up again since I can do it right from my porch. Things got quiet for a bit, and I pulled back from everything, trying to figure out how to keep going after losing so much. I was a mess, but all the support I got online kept me from falling apart completely. I didn't expect it, but knowing strangers cared pulled me through my lowest days, so thanks for that. Good news is I got my test results back, and I'm clean, which is a huge relief. My new place, that cabin I mentioned, wasn't as refurbished as I thought, more like stuck in the 90s. I've been fixing it up myself, and it's been a good way to clear my mind. All that's left is painting the spare room I'm turning into an office. I didn't mess with the wiring or plumbing, don't want to get zapped or deal with gross pipes, so I hired pros for that. Therapy's still going strong, and I can't say enough about how it's helped. I'm opening up a bit more at work, talking to a few coworkers I trust, and I've started reconnecting with friends, taking it slow. The big update is I finally talked to my mom. About a month back, I unblocked her number and gave her a call. She picked up right away, voice shaking like she couldn't believe it was me. I said we should meet up, and she agreed. We met at a diner near her place the next day. She was already there, and when she saw me, she started crying quietly. I sat down, and she kept saying she was sorry, that she only believed my dad and Lisa because she never thought they'd do something so awful. I told her I appreciated her saying that, but what she said to me when I showed up at her house was unforgivable, the kind of thing a mom should never say to her kid, and it showed me what she really thought of me. She cried harder, swore it wasn't true, said she was just so mad thinking I'd hit my dad for no reason, and let it all spill out when I came by. I didn't want to argue, so I changed the subject and asked what she was doing about my dad. She said she kicked him out the day after I sent her the video and got a lawyer to start separating. Then we talked about Lisa. Mom said after I left that day, she went back inside and threw both of them out, too disgusted to even look at them. We talked for about an hour, and before I left, I told her I was in a bad place back then, and her words made it worse, leaving me without a mom when I needed one most. I said I'm open to working on things, but it's gotta be on my terms, my pace. She stopped me as I got up, said she had something big to tell me. I sat back down, and she dropped a bomb: Lisa's pregnant. Apparently, Lisa showed up at Mom's house, told her, and said she doesn't know if the baby's mine or my dad's. She asked Mom if I'd been in touch so she could tell me, but since I hadn't, Mom sent her packing. That's where I'm at now, head spinning, not sure what to think or do next. Alright, moving on to the next part of my life that got flipped upside down. I'm Ethan, 22, and I always thought my parents died when I was 2, but they showed up at my college apartment out of nowhere, and now I'm trying to wrap my head around it all. Growing up, I was raised by my aunt and uncle, who I'll call Patricia and Victor, both in their late 40s to early 50s. They took me in after my parents supposedly died in a car crash. I don't remember anything from back then, being so young, but I do remember never fitting in with my cousins, Daniel, 25, and Sarah, 27. They got to do all the fun stuff, sports, hanging with friends, while I was stuck at home or school, no exceptions. Patricia could get mean, sometimes physical, and one time she broke my arm. Victor wasn't as bad, he at least took me to the hospital that day when no one else would, but that's about as far as his kindness went. When I turned 19, I moved a state over for college, studying music, now in my 3rd year, and I've been living off an inheritance I thought my parents left me. Then, one day, my aunt and uncle from my mom's side, who I'll call John, 44, and Laura, 43, showed up at my place unannounced after driving 10 hours. They said we needed to talk, so we went out to the porch, and they hit me with it: they're not my aunt and uncle, they're my parents. I stood there, stunned, anger bubbling up. For 17 years, I thought they were just my cool relatives who'd check on me at family parties, notice when I was bruised up from Patricia's temper, and make me feel a little better, but they never stepped in to stop it. They started explaining, but I cut them off, told them I didn't want to hear it, and to get out. I went inside, slammed the door, and they kept knocking for a bit before leaving. I broke down crying after they were gone, and my roommate was a saint, sitting with me for what felt like forever while I tried to process it. Later, Patricia found out and messaged me online, chewing me out for being cruel to my parents, saying I should have let them talk. I couldn't block her because she's got control over my inheritance, and now that I know my parents are alive, I'm clueless about how that even works. I was raised thinking I was an orphan, but they'd been there all along, watching me get knocked around and doing nothing. My head's a mess. Since then, Laura sent me a message saying they gave me up because they hit hard times and couldn't afford to raise me, and Patricia and Victor wanted a kid but couldn't have one, so they handed me over. I get why they might have done it, but it stings knowing they were around my whole life, pretending to be something else, and never stepped in. I'm torn. Part of me wants a real family, but part of me feels like they ditched me and don't deserve a second chance. I got a lot of support online, which helped me keep my head above water, even if I didn't have the energy to reply to everyone. I started seeing a counselor at school, and she's been awesome, helping me think straight. We made a plan. First, I told Patricia and Victor the first need space. They weren't happy but backed off for now. I had lunch with John and Laura and asked for the same, and they were more understanding, giving me room to breathe. Second, I asked them to do DNA tests to confirm they're my parents. They agreed, which makes me think they're telling the truth, and we're using test kits recommended by some friends in law and medicine. Third, I'm trying to figure out my inheritance. I didn't want to dive into that until the DNA results come back, but I'm guessing it came from my grandpa, who was loaded and passed away when I was 8. He and I were close, and I think he might have set it up for me, not my parents, but I'm not sure yet. Fourth, if they are my parents, I need answers. Why didn't they come back for me when things got better? Why the big lie about being dead? Why stand by while I was getting hurt? Why show up now? Even though they're being cooperative, I'm not sure I can let go of the fact they left me to deal with all that crap. Finally, no matter what, I'm cutting ties with Patricia and Victor. Next time I'm near them, I'll grab all my documents and belongings so they can't hold anything over me anymore. Things have moved forward since then, and it's been rough, plenty of tears and shouting matches in my head. I got diagnosed with depression and some trauma issues, but therapy and all the encouragement I've gotten have kept me going. The DNA tests came back, and yeah, John and Laura are my parents. It wasn't a shock since they agreed to the tests so fast, but it still hit hard, leaving me torn between relief they're alive and anger they let me suffer. I looked into my inheritance next, and sure enough, it was from my grandpa, not them, another lie they went along with. I've taken full control of it now, handed it over to a financial advisor so no one else can mess with it. I asked them why they didn't take me back once they were stable, and they said it was because my grandpa's money came through when I was 8, and they didn't want to disrupt my life. I get it, sort of, but they could have done something else, anything. Therapies helped me decide I'm not ready to forgive them. They were right there, seeing me hurt, visiting Patricia and Victor's house, and did nothing. That's a tough pill to swallow. This might be my last time talking about it, at least for a while, because I'm ready to close this chapter. My inheritance is secure, paying for school and keeping me set for now, and I'm done with Patricia and Victor for good. My parents are trickier. Part of me wants them in my life, to have real parents for once, but another part says what they did lying, watching from the sidelines, is too big to get past. I'm still figuring that out, and I'd love to hear what folks think. Thanks to everyone who's stuck with me through this. It's been the hardest thing I've ever dealt with, and having people out there rooting for me made a difference. I didn't answer every message, but I read them all, and now that things are settling, I'm hoping I can start chiming in more.